Every year, it happens. Every Valentine's Day, every February the 14th, the denizens of Portland, Maine wake up to find their entire city covered in red paper hearts. You can find them everywhere, up and down Congress Street, on the statue of Longfellow Square, on the library itself, on high-rise buildings and ancient forts, on houses' front doors, bridges, and lighthouses alike. The red paper hearts are a familiar sight, a tradition that the residents here of Portland, Maine have come to expect and look forward to. In talking about how so many locations could be covered in a single night, Carrie Tyson, the executive director of Downtown Portland, once said,
"We have always thought it was 1 part magic, 1 part sea salt, and 1 part fairy dust, but that's just our guess."
And for decades, nobody knew who was responsible. So, a nickname was coined, the Valentine's Day Phantom. Although pretty quickly, the media had actually jumped to the Valentine's Day Bandit. Personally, I was taught about this person with the title Valentine's Day Bandit, so that's what I'm going to refer to them as. But just know that technically Phantom came first. The arrival of the red paper hearts is sort of a normal marking of the passage of time here in Portland. It's as expected as the changing colors of the leaves, or the first time at night it's not dark at 4:30. The first time that I experienced the red paper hearts was in February of 2013, which was my first winter living here in Portland. That first year was a very messy time of my life. My mid-20s, but I remember what it felt like seeing those hearts for the first time. It was really wonderful to get to see my city, which in February can be very gray and bleak and pretty cold still, to come a little bit more alive again. You gotta understand, things here in Maine, when it's not peak summer and tourist season, tend to get pretty quiet. It's a time of year where businesses tend to close, there's not as much things to do, and we are certainly not enjoying as much daylight as we once were. Seasonal depression definitely kicks the ass of many a resident here. So the red paper hearts, as simple of a gesture as it is, honestly is something that a lot of people look forward to. It's a way to commemorate the big, if admittedly a bit over-commercialized holiday, and also acts as a reminder that spring is on the way. People display the hearts left on their homes and businesses with a sense of pride, oftentimes sharing them on social media with hashtags like Valentine Bandit strikes again. We were all pretty curious as to who was behind this really joyous and simple act. There were plenty of theories, of course. The most popular I heard and believed myself was that this wasn't a single bandit, but rather a group of people working together. Maybe also in collaboration with local law enforcement, which would help to explain the magnitude of spaces being, hearted, as well as the fact that some of them were definitely more prominent and difficult to reach locations. You need to understand, Maine, even though it is the largest state in New England, in fact, it is so large you could technically fit all of the other states of New England inside of it, in terms of population, it's actually pretty small. The stereotype of everybody knowing everybody, or at least being connected to everyone in some kind of 7 degrees of Maine Kevin Bacon sort of way, is very much true here. It's the reason why the mass shooting in Lewiston in November of 2023 was so devastating. I don't think I know a single Mainer who was not affected by that event in some way. Whether they were connected to the victims or knew the victims themselves, happened to live down the street from where the shooter was, or were just in the city and then needed to be in lockdown in a random bar because nobody knew what was going on and it wasn't safe to be outside. All of that is to say that a lot of people wondered if it was possible, which it seemed very likely, that they were somehow new or were connected to the bandit, or bandits as the case may be. But for decades, nobody ever came forward to take the credit or to pass it on. So the truth remained a secret until April of 2023. This is Kevin Fairman. A local to Falmouth, a nearby town, Kevin was a father to 3, a husband, and an artist. He was in a band called the Van Gogos, which is the best name for a band I have ever heard, and mentored young photographers. Kevin passed away suddenly on April 21st, 2023. And, as you may have guessed already, he was the Valentine's Day Bandit. We only know this because a few days after his death, his close friends and family who knew the secret came forward to share what they knew. And they shared just how much it took for him to accomplish these acts.
He rolled down a snowbank, I know, one year, So yeah, he definitely came close to injuring himself many times.
Those boat trips out to Fort Gorgeous proved dark and dangerous.
I'm sure he fell. I know he probably fell in the water at least once.
Kevin's widow, Patty, said that he and those he entrusted with a secret would often be out late into the early hours of the morning, Kevin usually coming home too exhausted to then be able to enjoy the day himself. And yet, throughout all of that, Kevin never felt the need to take credit for what he did. His daughter, Sierra, said of his actions,
"It wasn't for recognition. It was completely selfless, and that's what made it feel so magical."
This was huge news when this broke. I don't know if I could overstate that. Like, I worked with people who was close to this family and had no idea about the truth. Reportedly, some of his best friends didn't even know. This was like finding out your neighbor is Batman. And what really sucked about it is that finding out who the bandit was after all this time didn't bring any satisfaction. After all, the only reason we even found out is because the man who was responsible for so much joy over so many decades had died. He was gone. The mystery was over. A well-attended celebration of life followed, a time for which Kevin's loved ones and people in his greater community could thank him and say goodbye. I didn't go myself, but I heard it was beautiful. A month passed, and then 2, and then 4, and 6, and 7, and finally, it was 2024 before we even knew it. And on February 14th, when I and the residents of Portland, Maine woke up, the paper red hearts were there.
There were hundreds of them at City Hall, on businesses, on the local theater.
Stop crying. I'm not crying, you're crying.
And look at this. Someone even made sure to put one up out at sea on Portland streets, window after window decked out in hearts.
Kevin may have passed on, but his legacy continued. His friends, family, as well as many in the greater Maine community who was inspired by him, put hearts all over the city of Portland. A little ahead of the holiday, Kevin's friends and family decided to create a website where people could go to download the red paper hearts themselves and then put them up wherever they wished, even if just their own windows. The website encouraged visitors to be a Kevin, a mantra that was reflected within the URL itself. A friend of Kevin said that putting up the hearts
was just a reflection of Kevin sharing his love. He was all about that, making people feel they were loved and special and unique. He didn't use those words, he did it with his actions.
There are a few reasons that I wanted to share this story of the Valentine's Bandit and, of course, his eventual reveal to my audience today. The first being that, as a lifelong Mainer who does currently reside in Portland, the story really means a lot to me. It demonstrates the kindness and compassion that my fellow Mainers are capable of. It adds a little something to this city, the rich character and history of it. For another, I really wanted to share this story because what Kevin and the people who helped him throughout the years accomplished is something that's really special. It brought joy to an unknowable number of people throughout the decades, even though ultimately it was a very simple act. Well, simple in terms of the goal, anyway. There is nothing simple about driving out in the middle of the night into Maine waters to put a giant heart banner on an old decaying fort. Kevin had some big old balls. What I really mean is that when I'm thinking about ideas of, what radical kindness and empathy can look like, I think we need to remember that something as simple as just taping a red paper heart on the front door of a small local business can brighten so many people's day. And that simple act can then go on to inspire them to do more things, to bring more light into an otherwise dark and dreary time. This year for Valentine's Day, one middle school class donated 100 Valentines to a veteran's home. And the Portland Sea Dogs ended up hosting a blood drive in Kevin's honor. Kevin wasn't even the original Valentine's Day bandit. That honor goes to an unnamed colleague whose identity we still don't know, who started putting up the hearts in the mid-70s. Kevin took over in 1979, which, for those of you playing at home wondering what the math is, means that Kevin had started putting up those hearts when he was 23 years old. 23? I wasn't doing anything remotely this cool when I was 23. Not even. I was a mess. I had a lot of issues. I was drinking a lot of Grateful Deads back then. Not anymore. There are a lot of ways to spread kindness and empathy in this world. Please do not underestimate how even a simple act that you do today can have effects tomorrow, the day after that, or the days that come, especially right now. Kevin Farman was a fucking hero as far as I'm concerned. I wanted everybody in my audience to know his name and to make sure that his legacy continues on. This year, in 2025, when February was feeling a little extra dark and more bleak than usual, seeing those red paper hearts filled a lot of people with hope, myself included. And they will continue to do so, year after year, as more and more people learn the truth about the Valentine's Day Bandit.
People all over the world, we've heard your messages of love and support for the Bandit's work loud and clear, especially your interest in selflessly spreading love in your own communities. Let's keep it simple. Please find the official artwork for Kevin's heart just below. Make a difference. Be a Kevin.
Hi, everybody. This is not the video I promised you this month. I don't know what's happening with my brain lately. I've been struggling a lot. It's been really hard. I don't know. There's something kind of ironic probably about me struggling to finish a video that's about being neurodivergent and polyamorous when the neurodivergent part of my brain is making it hard for me to write the script. It's just like, second dysfunction, why? I guess this video kind of doubles a little bit as a channel announcement because I'm trying to give myself grace to, you know, make these videos and to make sure they come out because I really do enjoy doing YouTube and this is an outlet for me, a creative one, but I'm also just struggling with a lot of things right now. There's some personal stuff going on, mostly in the sense that I've been just dealing with trying to manage my debt right now. So that's been like a whole emotionally exhausting thing, which luckily is good. I'm taking care of it, but like that's just a whole thing, trying to take better care of myself, which involves more working out, but then like I'm more tired because of that. So all of this is to say that, the videos are still coming. I'm still working on the Kevin Can F Himself video and as well as the polyamorous and neurodivergent video. I have plenty of videos planned for this year, but I'm also kind of giving myself a little bit of space in that I might have to do more of these shorter videos because these are a little bit easier for me to write. They're easier for me to film and get out a little bit quicker. And they're not nearly as emotionally exhausting to do. So I'm not saying that I'm definitely going to keep doing all of these every month. All these every month? What the hell sentence is that? I'm not saying that I'm going to do this definitely every single month where I come out with just like a short video instead, but just know that I might have to do more of these shorter videos for the time being because this just seems to be what I'm able to produce right now. I am still working on those other videos. The neurodivergent polyamorous script is actually halfway written. The Kevin Can F Himself script, I think I've gotten about 7 pages of that one done. So like those are still definitely coming and I have some good ideas for those. I think I just have been putting a lot of pressure on myself, and when I put too much pressure on myself, I tend to collapse underneath said pressure. Brains are fun. I really appreciate everyone's patience with me, especially my supporters over on patreon.com/mainlymandy. If you are not aware, patreon.com/mainlymandy is where people who enjoy what I do decide to give me a little bit of money each month. It doesn't have to be a lot. Most people are just throwing a couple bucks my way. Do you got a couple bucks you can afford to lose once a month? Well, then you should sign up too. That'd be cool. People who are my Patreon supporters get little like behind the scenes reveals. Sometimes they get to see parts of scripts before they come out. I once filmed a video diary while working on a bigger project that they have complete access to. I'm also considering maybe starting to do some videos that will be Patreon exclusive videos, like where I'm reviewing some of my source materials or things like that. Maybe just like little check-ins that are more video oriented since, I have a camera obviously. So, if you're interested in that, let me know. I'd really love to make more content, but I also just have to like balance that out with everything else I'm trying to do right now. Because I'm the kind of person that's just like constantly doing things and then I'm surprised when I'm tired. Well, we'll talk about that more in the Nerd Day version video. Thank you all so much for watching. If you're not, please make sure you are subscribed and like this video below. Tell me in the comments below, what have you done recently to be a Kevin? I want to hear, what are those little acts of kindness that you're putting out in the world? Did you help a neighbor bring in their groceries? Did you walk somebody's dog? You know, tell me about what little things you're doing to brighten people's day, even if it's as simple as taping a red paper heart to a window. I'm Aileen Mandy, and I will see you in the next video, which will be coming out eventually and will be about something. That's all I can promise you.